Welcome to the 2024 installment of the Pintastic Pinball Expo, this year held at the Best Western Royal Plaza Hotel in Marlborough, Mass. This is the Project Pinball tournament area for kids, and they have a set of machines set up, one old EM and then a lot of modern new ones. You see the Labyrinth machine there. And then down the hall is the actual tournament area. They had a lot of different rooms spread out, and we're only going to cover a few of them in this video because we got a lot of ground to cover. There were a lot of people at this expo, and among them there's the legendary Todd Tuckey from TNT Amusement strangling my friend Jim, and then over here is the legendary Steve Ritchie getting some selfies with people. But the main attraction here were the game rooms, and they had, like the previous year, set up 3 different game rooms with different purposes, and we'll look at those as we go along. This was the main check-in area as you come in, and they had lots of free posters you could take, and lots of other swag like keychains and magnets. So if you take a left over here, you would go down the hallway toward the main game rooms. And the game rooms were open from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. So plenty of opportunity. It was $30 to get in, and you could play to your heart's content all day. So over here is a custom game showcase. We'll look at this first. And in the custom game showcase, they have what you would expect, custom games. These are mods that people made to games, or pinball tables that people have actually constructed from the ground up themselves. This was an interesting 2-player machine where you could compete against another player, sending balls back and forth from one side of the table to the other. And this one I thought was pretty clever. This is the old Gottlieb Sinbad table, but they put an LED screen on the back which actually shows the old Ray Harryhausen film of Sinbad. I really like that skate or die table. It was the flippers needed a little more power in it, but it was done with a sort of grunge aesthetic, and it was a lot of fun. LED lights have brought a whole new aesthetic to pinball machines, and they're prominent now everywhere. Some of it is pretty blinding. Quite a few interesting and creative tables, and it's really nice to see that there are a lot of people who are into building their own pretty sophisticated machines. Magic Forest was gorgeous to watch. And then over in the corner here was a perfect machine for kids, a starter machine, a nice little table that had simple objectives based on Disney's Frozen franchise. So now we'll cross over into the main game room, and there is lots going on in here. These are all the vendors against this side of the room, and not as many vendors as they used to have when they were in Sturbridge, but quite a few more than were there last year. and there are different groups that brought different collections of machines, but this was the largest collection of new tables that I've ever seen in one place. So you see there are 2 Labyrinth tables here, there's a Pulp Fiction, there's Looney Tunes, there's Scooby-Doo, a lot of these brand new machines, plus some nice classics. There's Cactus Canyon with a nice topper on it. And over here, here's the famous Lost in Space with the giant robot topper on it. Are you having a good game, Jim? Most of the action throughout the day was at, as you would expect, the newer tables. Everybody wanted a chance to try those out. It's hard to know exactly where to start in a place this big, but I'm going to just sort of go to the end here and then work my way back and then sort of weave through the aisles. And right here are some classic solid states: Monster Bash, Circus Voltaire, Funhouse, and then an old EM with Royal Guard. That was a fun machine. There are some Playfields. Over here is a somewhat controversial machine from a new company. It's Barry O's Barbecue, named after Barry Ursler, who was a famous pinball designer. Then you have the Oktoberfest machine, Galactic Tank Force. So all these really interesting brand new games. Houdini, which was just amazing to look at, dazzling table on it. There's Dr. No next to it, Venom. And like I said, the new tables were booked solid throughout the day. People constantly playing them. As you can see, not so much with the old electromechanicals, but we'll get to that in a minute. So we'll backtrack here and take a look at some more new machines over here. There were, of course, lots of examples from Stern and from Jersey Jack. There are more Venom machines. There's another Dr. No. And this I thought was somewhat amusing. 4 Jaws machines in a row. And again, people at them the entire day. There's more Pulp Fiction. And they would have, as is the current trend, different versions of the machine. So you have the standard machine, you have the premium machine, you have the ultra premium machine, and they all have different features on them. There's more Venom. This is the second of 3 Cactus Canyon machines that were there. Toy Story 4, which had one of the most confusing Playfields I've ever seen. There's the Elton John, the new Jersey Jack Elton John machine. There's the 3rd Cactus Canyon. And so now let's move on to the electromechanical machines. These were in mostly really good condition. Jack's Open, which is a very challenging machine. And they were all just so much fun. It was so much fun to play these machines. I like the fact that they have all the flashy new machines that attract most of the people, and that allows me to play these machines as much as I want. There's Target Alpha, which is the 4-player version of Gottlieb's famous El Dorado. Wizard, Bow and Arrow. And over here is a rare find. That's Safecracker, which is a little tiny machine designed by Pat Lawler that is a timed game. So you don't get balls on it as much as you do get time, and you have to increase your time to keep playing. And here's some more of the solid state. We'll take a look at those later. Pro football is pretty rare. There's the famous Captain Fantastic. There's Fireball. And here is my favorite thing at the whole show. An entire row of Ted Zale classic machines. You have Cosmos, Rocket 3, Wiggler, Joust, and then one of my favorite machines of all time, 4 million BC. So all these delightful ancient Ted Zale machines in really good shape. I was in heaven there. And around the corner here we have some more classic machines. There's Walking Dead, one of the newer ones, but right next to it, one of my favorite machines of all time, Paragon. And this was in beautiful condition. Most of these machines, of course, were for sale. Paragon was $4,500, so not cheap, but for its condition, that was pretty good. Another Venom, another Walking Dead. Mystic, a classic Bally. And against the back wall, another classic, Countdown. There's High Speed, one of my favorite games. I got a lot of favorites. Hot Wheels. Champion Pub, which is a rare machine to find. There's Cyclone, which was playing really well. It's normally I find that with weak flippers, which doesn't allow you to do much, but that was doing well. And Todd Tuckey was telling us about this Terminator machine. It has a hidden mode where if you press the credit button several times in a row, it'll get you into a video game mode. And there's Roadshow with twice the maintenance headache of Funhouse. And this was a really interesting table. I'm not sure who brought it. 40th Pinball Expo. And I'm not sure if it's an original table or what it's based on. It's interesting with all the clear plastic on it. And there's good old Space Shuttle, one of the classics. So lots of variety here. Any type of pinball you like playing, you're able to find it. And they also had a couple of rooms that had lots of just plain old video games in it for those who wanted to not have mechanical games. But this was one of the best Pintastic shows I'd ever been to, because of the amount of variety and the number of tables that they had. So let's take a look at one more room. And in here we have another collection of newer machines. This is the Weird Al machine that just came out. We didn't get a chance to play that. They actually had to put up a stanchion because so many people were in line waiting to play that game. And there's the new Princess Bride machine. There's the Lord of the Rings, Stern's Lord of the Rings, which is a pretty good game. There's another Tron Legacy. Transformers. Jurassic Park. There's the classic Addams Family. Another Cactus Canyon. So that's 4 Cactus Canyon machines at this show. Here's Queen, Foo Fighters, Batman from the 1960s. That's a fun table. And that is a Black Knight, Blades of Fury. I've never seen that game before. Had this weird sort of spinning blade thing in the middle. South Park, Simpsons, the Jetsons. Most of the machines that are being made now, of course, are being made for collectors. They're not being put into arcades anymore. There's Everdell. That was a specially constructed machine. So they're expecting people to buy them for their homes, and as such, the machines give you a lot of gameplay now. It's not like the old machines that would drain your ball immediately so you'd put another quarter in. You get really long periods of gameplay. Now this was really neat. This gentleman had set up a display so you could actually see how all the mechanisms in the old EM machines worked. It was really informative and lots of fun. This is the mechanism from the famous Doodlebug machine, and I didn't realize that was an early example of using an electromagnet in a pinball machine. That was a baseball game, and that was really fun. You could actually play a whole game and watch how it worked. And then upstairs you could go to the seminars, like with Steve Ritchie talking about their experience in the pinball industry and designing games. So it was another fantastic, Pintastic exposition. If you ever get a chance to come out and visit this, I highly recommend it. Lots of fun.